Zoning Commission meeting for December 3rd, 2025. Roll call, please.
Arel?
Here.
Budke?
Here.
Clava?
Present.
Holt? Mattson?
Here.
Reichert?
Here.
Sandy?
Here.
Bosick?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, sounds good. Reading and approval from the minutes of the November 5th, 2025 meeting. Mr. Reichert.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Reichert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Budke. Any further discussion on the minutes? Not seeing any hands. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved as submitted. Public hearings, final approvals, petitions and changes, 3-1.
Ordinance to amend the zoning map to rezone from Greenberg PUD Amendment 5 to PUD Commercial B3 to PUD Amendment 6, B1, located at 3909 South 38th Street.
Mrs. Johnson.
Thank you, Chair Wasvig. So this request came forward last month for preliminary, so it's back for final approval this month. The request is to rezone the currently vacant undeveloped lot here, right along South 38th Street. Specifically, it proposed to change the allowable uses from PUD Commercial B3 to PUD Commercial B1 to develop the property as multifamily residential. Light commercial or B1 underlying zoning district allows both multifamily residential uses as well as limited commercial uses, like primarily office in nature, and retail is prohibited in B1. This request does align with the recent rezonings of the lots across South 38th Street, so over here, which also rezoned to B1 uses, and also aligns with the multifamily properties directly east of the property. The PUD also features requests to modify allowable impervious surface area as well as required setbacks. So with that, staff is recommending approval. I'll stand for any questions.
All right, any questions before I open the public hearing from the commission? Not seeing any, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody in the audience want to step up and address 3-1, please do so at this time. Not seeing anybody, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission.
Move approval.
Moved by Ms. Sandy,
Second.
second by Mr. Reichert. Any further discussion? Not seeing any hands, call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 3-1 passed unanimously. 3-2.
Replat of Lot 1, Block 1, Auditor Subdivision Number 26, located at 39 to 4200 block of 17th Avenue South, with street and highway ordinance dedication.
I need to be recused.
Recusal on Mr. Reichert.
I'll move to recuse him.
All right. Second by Mr. Budke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're recused, Mr. Reichert. Ms. Johnson, please.
Thank you. So this request again was preliminary last month, back for final this month. It's a major replat which splits one lot into two with the purpose of creating right-of-way for Armstrong Court to connect up to 17th Avenue South to create access for the Burkholtz development. The replat dedicates two 10-foot utility easements. And with that, staff's recommending approval. I'll answer any questions.
All right, same thing. Any questions before I open the public hearing? Seeing none, open the public hearing. Anybody in the audience want to step up and address 3-2, please do so at this time. Not seeing anybody, close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission. Moved by Mr. Ralph, second by Ms. Sandy. Further discussion? Seeing no hands, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, 3-2 passes unanimously. 3-3.
Plat of Tolson's First Re-subdivision, located at 1506 South Washington Street.
Ms. Johnson again.
Thank you. So this is a minor replat request. It would combine these parcels here into one commercial development lot. The replat dedicates utility easements around the property as well as designates access control as shown here. Pretty simple one. With that, staff's recommending approval. I'll stand for any questions.
Same thing. Any questions for Ms. Johnson before I open the public hearing? Not seeing any. Anybody in the audience like to step up and address 3-3, please do so at this time. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission, Mr. Reichert.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Reichert,
Second.
second by Mr. Mattson. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Excuse me. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 3-3 passes unanimously. 3-4.
Swangler Auto Salvage Yard Conditional Use Permit, located at 7596 Gateway Drive.
Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Chair Wasvik. I wanted to just give you a quick rundown of where we're at with the conditional use permit request for both Weekly and Swangler. It's kind of hard to talk about these individually. They're right next to each other and have kind of operated out there together for quite a number of years. It's out here on Gateway Drive, just between the airport, just on the east side, and the city. They've operated as well as they could out there. They've, I think, actually been pushed out there by the city in the past. They used to be located inside the city limits. So, and I think, I don't know at what year they went out there to try to accommodate the city at that time, but they have made efforts. As we know, I think I've mentioned in the past, Swinglers did reduce on the north side. They got a little bit smaller. I think they sold to, oh gosh, I can't remember who. It wasn't, what's Gowan? Yeah, thank you. Andrew typically remembers those things, not me. Gowan did purchase and they shrunk up their site a little bit. So with that, we're recommending continuing on with the conditional use and actually going with similar to what we did with the residual materials, I think just a few months ago. So they're actually going to be lined up a little bit. So in 10 years, they'd come back together as well. So with that, I'll stand for any questions that you may have.
Any questions? Mr. Budke, please.
Yeah, Ryan, in the language, the text of the PUD, there's a reference to attachment A.
Attachment A, yeah. I think we had missed that. That was, I think, a carryover because we did use a similar language that we had with the site with the residual materials. We did take that out, so that we'll remove that attachment A reference. And thank you for catching that and talking about that. And the reason we had that with residual is they actually had two different sites. So they up on Mill Road, they had the one up by 27th and then the one a little bit further south. So.
See, you have your Andrew, we have our Andrew.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Any, Miss Sandy?
Boy, I didn't think this was that long ago, but
It seems like yesterday.
It does.
so do you have any pictures or can you explain now
Yeah.
how that's looking? Because I know that when this was before us previously, there was lots of conversation about cars that weren't moved in the front and screening and all of that kind of stuff.
Get over to the front here. So they have the fence that's in front here. Here's Swangler's here. This is the entrance that comes in. Swangler's is here. The screening piece is meant to kind of hide that as much as possible. Weekly's is on this side. Their fence is a little bit smaller, but still intended to kind of block. I'll maybe come over this side a little bit, hopefully, just so you can see a little bit further down. There's always going to be this opening and then some cars in the front. I think what happens and what I've understand from past discussions as well, when we have accidents and the wreckers kind of come and then they'll, I think, drop off some of the vehicles out here out front. There's some paperwork that has to get cleared before they can take possession, and then they're able to actually pull them into their site. So some of these holds are with that. And then on some occasions, I believe vehicles are for sale. And I don't know if Swangler's or Weekly's are here to probably do a better job of explaining than what I just did, but we can certainly have them try to explain that as well.
Well, we'll see.
it-
I can open the public hearing.
Can I ask one
Yeah,
more question?
please.
Is there a reason that there isn't screening that extends on the weekly side?
I'd have to go back and look. I think that was part of, this fence was put up many years ago, and I don't have the history on that, unfortunately. I didn't look that up, but I can certainly get that for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, with that, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody in the audience want to step up and address 3, 4, please do so at this time. I don't see anybody here to address that, so we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission. Any further questions? I know we,
Move approval.
okay. Second by Kleva. Any further discussion?
That's with the attachment A change, right?
We'll get that removed, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ben. With that, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 3, 4 passes. 3, 5, very similar.
Correct, yeah. Nothing new to add unless you have any questions on the Weekly side.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody in the audience want to step up and address 3, 5, please do so. We'll close the public hearing, bring it back to commission. Ms. Sandy.
So would it be reasonable to extend that screening or?
I can certainly talk to them and find out if we can match the materials as well. I can certainly speak with them, and I don't know if Scott's here. Scott? Scott, have you had any thought on that, or was that meant to kind of?
I don't want to.
You want to come up to
in
the,
front that he's blowing up on, doesn't even have a door.
That's the screening that the city decided they wanted to put up at the time. And I'm not 100% sure if I can afford putting up concrete screening like they got there now.
Right, no, that's an expense, I understand that.
Right.
Is there anything that would, is it concrete that whole stretch?
those are concrete panels.
Yeah.
All of them
concrete.
are?
Yeah.
Pre-stressed concrete.
Okay.
Yeah.
And down the other side too, I thought some of them were wood, but
I think it goes
Maybe
to
not.
wood there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes north a little ways at the end of our property. Yeah.
oh, that's concrete too.
Right.
It's just that open area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
It does provide some, visual to their sign up there
Yeah.
because they are still operating the business as well. People go there to get the parts and.
what's our policing method? I mean, it was 10 years ago, seems like yesterday, but what is our checks and balances on?
Yeah, if we get calls, typically it's complaint based and inspections that go out if they receive calls, concerns, something like that. And that could come from the business owners as well, like, hey, this car, I've no communication, that type of thing, or from somebody from just driving by as well,
So
could
that's
call
how
our
we
building.
That's how we monitor this condition. of
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
It's been complaint based.
Okay.
Do you get a lot of complaints?
I don't know. I think for most people are aware of where they're located now. And I don't know if anybody's out there searching for them. I think they know where they're at now, where to go to get their parts when they got to.
Well, no news
some
is good
repairs.
news. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, with that, moved by Mr. Reichert. Second by Mr. Kleva. Any further discussion? Seeing no hands, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign. 3-5 passes unanimously. Communications and preliminary approvals. 4-1.
Ordinance to amend the zoning map to rezone from B1 to R2, B3 to R4, B3 to R2.
Mr. Brooks.
All right, I'll zoom around here. We have three different, or a couple different sets here. This is kind of a continuation. If you remember, right, we were going through code, trying to do some fixes. We've got a lot of homes that were out there in business zoning, and we were trying to clean up a lot of those. A lot of them are affordable housing. They're along our commercial corridors, and so some of these you'll see are. I'll zoom in real quick, kind of show you where a lot of them are at. 1307 4th Avenue. Here's the Dogma Hall. This is right to the north of that. It's this house here, 1307. And we would just attach it to the zoning that's right next door. So it's going to go from a B1 to an R2, that site. And it's still connecting and consistent. So if there's no questions on that, I'll run to the next one.
Go to the next one, I think.
Next one's up on Gateway Drive. And we actually did the one right next door recently. I think we did 1411, 1412 at previous meetings, but now this is 1408. Here's Gateway Drive, and the Kennedy Bridge is right here. We have those three homes that are set up right here. We have not heard from 1404 yet, but we've kind of been taking them as they come. And again, these make them easier for folks to sell their home if that situation arises. So with no questions there, I'll hop to the next one. 1223 6th Avenue. This is right on the corner of Washington and 6th Avenue. Existing single-family house. Here's what it looks like. It is a little unusual right on Washington, but again, it is a good single-family home, affordable for folks to purchase, and so we're recommending continuing with that. The last one is right behind the old Italian Moon, I believe. or KFC. This is 701. We recently did, this is the Genie Vegans. This is just directly across from that, and it'll be both of those properties. So with that, I'll stand for any questions that you may have on those.
Any questions for Mr. Brooks? Pretty straightforward.
The next steps are to do
We
public
have a-
hearings around on
hearing on
those
this one.
and let the neighborhood be aware. We'll send out notices 800 feet around, so there'll be quite a few notices that get sent, but past practice has been we haven't received a lot of comments other than a lot of people assuming it already was zoned that way. So
Okay,
Approval.
moved by Miss Sandy, second by Mr. Budke. Any further discussion? Not seeing any hands, call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 4-1 passes unanimously. 4-2.
Replat of lots 1 and 2, Block 1, Ray Richards Golf Course Edition, located at 3801 Demers Avenue with street and highway ordinance dedication.
Mr. Brooks, I would like to probably, if the commission's okay, talk about 4-2 and 4-3 together, split them up to vote. You guys good with that? Thank you. Please.
thank you, Chair.
Oh, sorry.
I'd like to be recused from this one, being in play for Unity.
So moved.
So. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks. You're recused. Mr. Brooks.
Okay, I'll quickly just kind of frame where we're at. Demers Avenue, well, most people know where we're at with Ray Richards, but Demers Avenue up here in the north, South 34th Street on the east, and South 42nd here on the west. This property, I think, has gone through a little bit of changes over the last 10 years. It's been closed, it's been reopened. But recently, the city has been working on North 42nd and underpass with Demers Avenue. So changes are coming on this northwest portion. If you notice the plat, there is a piece that's kind of taken out of that. Not to get into the full design and how that's working, I just wanted to make you aware that that is a kind of a factor here, is that design of the golf course is changing as a part of that. And they've all been working together as they kind of move forward on that. But just wanted to make you aware that that change is coming, not trying to walk you through all of those iterations on how that design is, but certainly we can have the engineers come up if you wanted a full dissection of that. But with that, there has been, I think, our initial neighborhood meeting last April on this. President Armacost is here with UND. He can certainly, he's got a presentation to kind of walk you through what their request is. At the end of that, if that works for you, Chair, I'll come back up and kind of do some concluding remarks on where staff's at with this. This is preliminary approval. This would go forward to City Council. No matter whatever your recommendation is, goes forward to City Council on December 15th. And then assuming it would move on from there would be into January and February for final approval. So I just want to make everybody aware, and I'll cover that at the end. So,
All right. Sounds good to me.
all right.
Chair Boswick, members of the commission, my name is Andy Armacost. I serve as the president of the University of North Dakota. I'm going to get this on slideshow real quick. Let me begin by offering my thanks to Mr. Brooks for all of his great support throughout this process. Also, thanks to the commission for hearing this case. I know this is preliminary and the discussion will span several weeks, I'm certain. And I also thank the citizens and the members of the neighborhood who have been professional in all of our discussions about debating the pros and cons of this particular proposal. And I know some of them are here today, and I really appreciate the professionalism with which we engaged in our conversations. Ryan shared a little bit about the history of this open, closed. So in 2016, the course closed under a different president's decision. It reopened in 2020 under some pressure from donors and also from the legislature. It turns out the build to operate, as we reopened, was much larger than before because we had to outsource the operations and the maintenance of the course. There were no amenities, no clubhouse, no bathrooms, no driving range. And so that makes revenue generation a lot tougher than it was prior. Then the notification of the 42nd Street underpass happened, as Ryan mentioned. The idea is to work this project in parallel with that project. It forced us to think about what the long-term solution for this entire golf course should be. There were some areas that we laid goals for preserving a community gem in this golf course. It's a well-regarded course, and those who play it have spoken with me continuously about the importance of keeping it going. We have to ensure the financial viability and sustainability of the course. It was operating at a loss of about $500,000 annually. And so we want to make sure that we have a better solution that would generate funding that could overcome that deficit. We wanted to create a home for UND women's and men's golf, as well as our cross-country program. And we also wanted to provide an amenity of interest to the citizens of Grand Forks. I told the team, both at UND and also our development team, that one of my main priorities was to work with the neighbors and to make sure that what we were proposing would engage their feedback and take their feedback strongly into consideration. And that partnership was very important to me. So then the quick history, the initial proposal of the design, you'll see that on the screen. It involved two buildings, one to the northeast and one to the south of the plot of land, and then also the outdoor driving range Sweet Shots concept. So it's both a driving range as well as a restaurant bar, and it would also be the home of UND Golf. As Ryan said, the first meeting in April, we got strong feedback from the community. We hosted our own session hosted by the university in May and took direct feedback from the neighbors at that point. We had a first revision of this plan based on the initial feedback. That first revision slightly changed the angle of the golf range, and it also cut off half of one of the buildings to reduce the total density. But it was largely this footprint. We met with the board of the Garden View Homeowners Association and got their additional feedback and worked through a different solution. The result, plus a couple modifications, is what you see before you. And this is the plan that's being proposed. In the upper right is that area that we just showed that was much more dense. Here you see one remaining building and a parking lot. And that Sweet Shots golf concept, the outdoor driving range, is now in the southwest corner. And the access to that facility is actually coming off of 42nd Street. So this revision was presented to the full neighborhood on August 12th, where we received additional feedback. That was reported in the newspaper. I know members of the board and members of the neighborhood association and folks who lived in that neighborhood expressed their appreciation for us listening very carefully to the concerns that previous meeting in May. And I know they were appreciative of this concept. And I'm certain if we open for public comment, you'll hear from the neighbors, or you might have heard from them via letter. But I appreciated their feedback. I think it led to an amazing, a really strong proposal that we think will benefit the community and honor the concerns that were raised by the neighbors when we spoke about it with them. So the concerns specifically was the noise and bright lights from the golf facility, which is now on the other side of the plot of land, that there'd be too much density within the development. And you see that's been cut largely in half from 300 units down to 169 units. The concern about the increase of traffic on 34th Street has been mitigated by the reduction in the number of units, but also all the traffic that used to go to the golf course will now enter off of 42nd Street. And the entrance, of course, that is shared with the entrance to the Sweet Shots golf concept. So the traffic that was envisioned under the original plan is now drastically reduced under this plan. And there was concern about loss of green space. And what you'll see is in the design in front of you, we needed to, because of the 42nd Street underpass, we needed to reconfigure holes across the course. And what we wanted to do is make sure that to the north of the neighborhood, there would be actually a golf course, a hole that would actually serve as meaningful open space and prevent any other development from happening in that area in the future. So, so those were the big concerns, and we tried our very best to accommodate the concerns of the neighbors. And we just think that this provides huge benefits both to the city and to the community. In addition, there's great benefits to UND. The financial situation that we find ourselves in operating a golf course, which the cost of the golf course comes out of our budget, which that money would otherwise be used to support programs and students on the campus. So again, it's about a $500,000 deficit each year. Closing that gap is important to us. So having a revenue generating set of proposals here is something that's very important to us. In addition, this provides the home to UND's men's and women's golf programs as well as cross country. So the facilities that you see in the lower left at the Sweet Shots facility would also house the UND golf program. So locker rooms, coaches' offices, as well as simulated golf courses. So we think this is a great proposal. We stand by the work that's been done, and we, again, appreciate the conversation that we've had over the course of many months with the community. Again, this was 4 meetings with the community, 3 with the board of the Garden View Homeowners Association, and then countless phone calls with elected leaders, with business owners, and also with concerned citizens. So I'll stand for questions from the council or from the commission, and if not, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Brooks.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Armacost? No, yeah, nice job.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pop out of this, although that it'll be available for us to toggle back to if need be. I just wanted to quickly kind of pull up kind of some of the main pieces. So, the plat, it is the legal description. That's how we're going to divide things. But I really want to pay a little bit attention to the PUD, because that's, the zoning, I think is, I don't hear anybody say, you know what, that legal description isn't quite right. Can you move that lot line over a little bit? Typically it is, what are the uses that are allowed here? What's the buffer, that type of thing. So I want to concentrate on that a little bit. So what we've done is we've got a PUD document here. We're set up, like, as he said, along the east side on 34th Street. We're putting this into R4, which is our multifamily district. This would prevent, this wouldn't allow for mixed use development. I think I saw some comments, and I don't know if I mentioned this early on, but we have been loading those in on the page. We have received some public comments, although the official public hearings in January. I did, as we get those, we tried to move those along. This wouldn't be a mixed use development. This is going to be a multifamily apartment building in this location up in that northeast corner here. The buffer that's going to be provided, I've had some conversations and some looks at that. Some of those initial ones that he had showed, there was a little bit of concern, and that was expressed by that neighborhood. And then I think some of the earlier drafts too it didn't necessarily, there was kind of just green space in this area. And I think there was some concern that I heard from a couple neighbors that had contacted me is, this is going to be the first phase. We're going to have, maybe a request for another phase later on, because there was nothing maybe in this corner here. Now, as part of the design, they've actually got part of the course there. And, typically what I hear is these are a little bit, there's some certainty now. The design of the course, this new course that's being designed, is going to have that hole in that location right next to some of the neighbors to the south here, specifically the Garden View townhomes. As we get over to this side, where the B3 is going to be at, which is that Top Tracer facility, we would anticipate seeing that. In addition, this is going to provide a little bit more known area for the entrance to the golf. When you go to play golf, you're going to be coming off of a commercial corridor, which I think is going to provide a little bit better access as well. So that is what we would anticipate seeing along that commercial corridor there with the interchange that's up here. Some of the initial phases, there was some concern. I wasn't sure that that was going to be able to be accommodated, I'll be honest, along this west side. Because in addition, some of the other things you're seeing here, and I won't go into details, but they're mostly because I don't know how all it's working, but the engineers have checked on the storm water being able to come through here. For those who don't know, there is major stormwater that does come through here, comes from the west, and it's accommodated through here and then gets up to the coulee, which has kind of been the whole beauty of the Ray Richards Golf Course. That will continue through with this process, but that's, you can kind of see how the water does carry through here and then marries up with the English coulee to the east here and then up through campus. So that, I think, strengthens just overall the golf course being there as well. So I was concerned when I saw that when the golf course closed in 2016. I know that wasn't under President Armacost, but there was concern what is going to happen. There would have to be some major look at what was going to go on there if we would have saw the golf course go away. It can be accomplished, but there is improvements that are needed in terms of infrastructure, those types of things, traffic, sanitary sewer, water, those types of things would have to be brought through. I think this is a better overall development that we're seeing here. I think they have accommodated a lot of those concerns. And thinking about what we would normally see for a buffer, having a golf course in between pretty much provides for what we would more than what we would expect to see normally from anybody else, and actually having that be an actual part of the golf course, as opposed to before it was the driving range that was closed and not necessarily being an active use. So all of these things I just think strengthen that proposal overall. And I will say the permanency of what I think is the golf course remaining in that site and operational. And, as the president said, that there's other additional benefits to, I think, UND Golf long-term as well. So with that, I probably said too much, but I'm certainly happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Brooks?
I have a few.
Oh, boy. Go for it.
Will that just be university housing, or is that just public housing?
I think it's market.
Market? Okay. I assume, this looks pretty, but I just want to confirm there will be the landscaping around the parking lot to help a little bit with the look of that.
Correct, yes.
And buffer, okay.
Yep.
And I just want to understand, because I believe this is what we heard last time, and I wouldn't have supported that first drawing because it seemed very intrusive to those townhouses. I think this looks very nice. I actually think it looks more peaceful. If I were living in one of those townhouses, I think this would be a nicer look out my backyard than what is currently there, but that's personal preference. If there was nothing what could the university do right now without asking us? Because my understanding is that they could build dormitories and Greek housing, and is that?
Yeah, I've been asked that question. So that's the current zoning is UD district.
Right.
That does allow for fraternities, sororities, dorms, other university, like if the university wanted to expand campus down in this area, those are all potential on that site. It does limit the commercial. It has to be accessory. Like right now you have some restaurants in the Union. Those can happen, but it has to be kind of a accessory use as part of that. But yes, you could have housing here. You could have additional dorms, those types of things.
What kind of density could that be? And would they need approval from us, or they could go ahead and build a dorm right in the corner, right behind the townhouse development?
Yeah, we would have setback requirements there, and I would typically try to work with them on minimizing
Nothing this
that.
commission could vote on.
There would not be, it would be administrative unless they weren't following setbacks. Correct.
So although change is hard, and I get that, and it's not my own backyard, this is a beautiful golf course and could actually be something that we have no say over, that could be dense living.
Yeah, there could certainly,
The alternative could be much worse.
the 160 could be a lot of other things that I don't know if that would be as well received, but I think I will say they have been very receptive, I think, to some of the concerns and trying to address a lot of the neighborhood concerns and have had a lot of meetings. And I will say it, not necessarily just the president hasn't been just throwing staff up there to do that work. He's been at the mic doing a lot of that talk himself. So he was probably a bit modest. He's been at, I think, at least the 4 meetings I've been at. I think he's been there. He's led the last 3 of those public meetings. And I've been at most of them, and I think they have tried to address most, if not all, of the concerns. But certainly, I think that I think next month we'll hear that there still probably is potentially some concerns out there. We've just tried to balance how we would address that, trying to strip away some of that. Does this fit? Does this make sense from our perspective, from what we would require others?
I mean, this is kind of how the process is supposed to go. So I am happy that the university and the neighborhood work together, because the meetings and the conversations and the complete change of how this is laid out and the density of it is from communication, right? So this is how it should go. So I'm happy to see that happened. I don't know if there's a solution that the neighborhood would like, but like I said, I think there are some possibilities that they certainly wouldn't like. And I think this is a really nice design. But we did get a lot of emails, and I did read all of the letters. And so again, I understand that it's going to be something different, but it does look like there's a lot of green space that will probably be maintained better than, no offense, than what it's being maintained like right now. And the clubhouse that's there right now is a little bit of an eyesore too. So I hope that if this does go through, it looks as beautiful as the other developments that have been done on the campus of UND.
Just a couple things on my end. So from the lot line, which basically I'm assuming is that large row of trees,
Yeah, I'll say roughly.
so from that to the apartment building, I can't read it, or is there a footage on that? I mean, you gotta be,
I want to say it's 300 to 400 feet.
and it doesn't have to be exact, right?
Yeah.
You're crossing all the way up to, there's a hole there, a fairway, there's a pond, then there's a
Couple
parking
hundred
lot.
feet.
Unless UND is gonna do a football game out there, I doubt it, if there'll be any tailgating. So I don't see that as an issue. There's a green space, and then you get to where the multifamilies are. And I read the emails as well and looked at it and took it to heart, but trying to figure out how that's gonna cause noise and racket from that distance is kind of where I'm at. And I also agree with Megan that I'm so impressed that the developers, UND, the neighborhood has been working together calmly, constructively, and that they're willing to turn this whole thing around, because being in construction, I know it would have been a lot less money to leave a couple holes on the west side and put everything on one side and smash it into that corner. I know financially that probably made a lot of sense, but for this to turn this around and make this beautiful, I mean, what do we, it's only like, if you put a industrial there, it's what, 300 feet, 200 feet?
Oh, for buffer yard?
For a buffer.
100, 50 or 100, I can't remember.
50 or 100, and you could put an industrial something there instead of a fairway, a pond, and a part of a golf course. So, I mean, that was kind of where I came from it. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just, when you had him measure that, so really that apartment building or multifamily building is actually further
Yeah.
from the closest townhouse than the Garden View apartment building is from
yeah.
Correct.
right?
I Google Earthed it earlier, and it's a lot, And McEnroe, being the dad of a 22 and a 19-year-old, if I looked on Life 360 in the next 3 days, I'm going to say I'm going to have 2 kids in that area probably 3 or 4 times in the next 2 days. So that's kind of quite the party place over there, from what I
And
hear.
I don't know if there have been complaints, but that's much closer
Yeah.
than what the other one is without buffer.
I just appreciate, like Megan said, this is the way it's supposed to go down. Developer give and take a little bit, and they look like they moved a lot here. Anybody else want to join in on this?
Question.
Mr. Mattson? Yeah.
On the screen here you had up a minute ago there, you have that wet pond
Here.
that you're showing, no, to the west side. You're having that as part of the PUD for the driving range. And I'm just kind of curious with that, why that would go into that piece instead of with the course, especially considering like the flooding that's, after a big rain, that whole coulee kind of sits there and is underwater. So in my mind, it would make more sense to have that pond as part of the course, but maybe someone can explain that to me.
That one there.
Commissioner Mattson, Chairman Wasvik, Steve Burrian with Burrian Associates. I'm this part of the civil engineering team and part of the development team as well. We put this preliminary plat together in about 3 days, and as the name implies, preliminary is the case. And we did get feedback from the city that they were pleasantly surprised with the quality of the preliminary plat. But when you see the final plat, to address your question, it will come down along the east side of that parking lot and then along the north side of the building, and that those ponds that you see will be left on the golf course, as you indicated.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense to keep it with the course. And I had some comments I sent to staff too, just about some of the easements and stuff. I think we have to look at, how we're getting raw water from downtown across the north end of this site and making sure that doesn't actually get too close to the apartment building on that north end, because there's a couple 30-inch lines that run there.
And Commissioner Mattson, we did have the building much further north, and so there's actually 3 lines in there, the 230-inch, and then I think it's a 16 or 18-inch distribution main that's finished water. And the current layout is configured to miss all 3 of those lines.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Burrian. Mr. Riker? Moved by Mr. Riker.
Second.
Wait. Let me back up. We got to separate them all. So 4-2.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Mattson. Mr. Riker.
Yeah, so I had a couple of questions yet for Ryan, if that's all right.
Yeah, we got a motion and a second, so we can go ahead.
Okay. Two questions, Ryan. One, I love to look at the parking on the plat.
Yep.
So
Golf courses you can walk.
right. So I also read all of the emails that we got, right, and including one that mentioned paving paradise, putting up a parking lot. There's parking spaces depicted on here. We're voting, or we're acting tonight on the plat and on the PUD. None of that has like a parking space requirement necessarily. Is that correct? I guess what I'm getting at is the developer could scrutinize this, the number of stalls that's being provided off street here, and they could potentially reduce that.
Right now, they would have to follow our parking code amounts, if
Right.
that makes sense. The new one that we just put into place.
Yep.
And we still will, this is being depicted on here. That'll be that next step. They'll have to follow the R4. If they aren't, then we'll have a conversation. But we can refine that too between now and final and get a little bit more detail on that.
We'll get more detail.
Right. Okay.
I don't think this one's overparked. I will say that, at least on the multifamily. It did not go on the old, it is not using the old standard.
Okay. Second question. Just a bit of background. I was also at that neighborhood meeting in, I think it was April, or not the public meeting, not with the neighborhood association, but to be honest, I was a little underwhelmed by that layout, and I remember distinctly leaving there, like thinking, man, this would be way better if they could somehow switch that to the other side of the site. So when I opened up the staff packet, I was very pleased to see this. My one hang up, both with the initial layout and still with this, is actually the light. So whenever I've seen one of these facilities, which granted has not been terribly often, they've been very, very bright. So I'm curious if there's any sort of buffer yard. I didn't see any buffer yard requirement. I know, yes, we're quite a ways away from, say, the Townhome Association, but we're also quite a bit closer now to those McEnroe apartments and people's bedroom, living room windows.
Yeah.
So what are we doing about the light?
So we haven't put extra additional requirements for buffer yard as of now. We could certainly look at that, actually asking for some additional trees. We still need to evaluate which ones are there today, because I think everybody's trying to save as many of those as possible.
Sure.
But that's conversation still to come in terms of what that. I haven't asked for an additional buffer yard as of yet between this site and then what's the south. There is a requirement for B3 to R4, and I can get that for you. I don't have that one off the top of my head now.
Okay.
But I will say between up in the north here to down here, there isn't going to be that much requirement, but for sure from the R4 residential there is. And then if this was adjacent, there would be more too, but we can certainly talk to them about additional trees in this area here as well.
In my world. So with today's fixtures and the way they can be manipulated and mounted, and with the light pollution, that is a common subject to talk about. You can order fixtures to cut it right at the ground, throw it as far as you want it, measure it out, and cut it there. So driving by, the appearance of the field is bright. You go 10 feet off behind that pole and it's dark. They really have come a long way with that. We're learning all the time. The engineers and stuff are pulling stuff together, and they can do a lot with light pollution nowadays, and they can cut that off so that whole row of McEnroe would be dark. They can see out there and it looks like daylight standing on the field, but they're
We do.
a lot of advances.
Yeah, we do deal with the shields, like in even the downtown, like when the Olivan went up, right? We had to adjust some street lights and those types of things, put some screens on them. I'm not too sure. I know I've been told in the past that some of the Top Golf sites are intentionally trying to get, they also use that as a bit of branding, I think, from the interstate, but I have not gone to the backside. What's it look like from those neighboring uses? And we can certainly take a look at that and maybe call around too between now and final to ask some of those questions as well.
If you put that into the design, the engineer will pick that up.
Yeah. A lot of them I don't, a lot of them are closer to the interstate, which is some of what we heard too at that first meeting is that, moving it to the west side makes a lot of sense to get it closer to interstate and some of that attraction. And I think that those are.
Top in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago, and it was dark.
Yeah.
And there was houses all the way around the north side.
Okay.
And which side would that be on? They were dark. That would be on where you hit the long range side, opposite of where you hit the ball towards. Oh, okay. And there was houses, let's just say on the top to be our north side, all the way around, and they stopped probably at the bottom of where it turns to south, and that whole end was parking lot. That whole side was parking lot. Parking lot was well lit. Around you could look and you couldn't even tell the color of the houses. That was in Minneapolis 2 weeks ago.
I'll just
I was
close.
terrible at it, by the way.
I'll just close my comment by just I'd like to see that a bit like scrutinized more fully in the next round. And again, I think what I'm focused on mostly is that McEnroe apartments, just because that's the closest. I think that's the building sits parallel with all of the light masts. So I think that's where you're most likely to have the most acute impact here.
Okay. Yeah. I understand that.
Anyone else?
If you're looking at the sound or the light pollution, if you could look at the noise pollution as well with that outdoor space.
Very good. It is preliminary. No. Any other further discussion? Not seeing any hands. I will call for a vote at this time. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 4-2 passes unanimously. 4-3. So this is the zoning piece.
Move approval.
Moved by Mr. Reichert.
Sorry.
Second by Ms. Sandy. Any further discussion on the zoning? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 4-3 passes unanimously.
I will say we'll go down to 11th with that. So that goes beyond that 800 feet, just so you're aware. We've had discussions on making sure that we go down far enough on these in the past. So we'll get down to 11th Avenue South.
And just so the people in the audience, we really appreciate you guys coming out and showing your support and whatever view you have. I better turn on my mic. At the next meeting that we have, there will be a public forum. This is our way of learning what this is about and being able to ask the developers, the engineers, the questions that we want to ask to get it to preliminary. So we've asked for a couple things for them to add on. So then if we see those back, that's when we'll let you guys come up and speak and share your piece. So just to explain why that's how we do it in this body, but you're welcome to go to city council and speak all you want.
I will say too, January 7th or December 15th, and if it continues on from there, January 7th, February 2nd, I think is where we plan on going for final at city council, which is a little unusual. We're going to go to February 2nd. That's when everybody could attend at that meeting. So just to make everybody aware of that. So
Nope, that's just fine. All right, reports from the planning department. Miss Edwardson.
Good evening. I've got the easy one tonight. So for site plans, we've had the reserve apartments approved. We have the BMX track building under review. A quick housekeeping notice for the commission will have the elections of officers take place, annual election take place next month. Subcommittees, parking subcommittee, staff is working on a public input plan to go back to the subcommittee members with. We'll reach out to them here in the next few weeks. Sign subcommittee, the billboards, that draft code is at the city attorney's office under review. Then housing updates. Last month we had a presentation on the code audit. We've met internally with other departments, given the discussion about the building code impacts and things like that. To discuss barriers to the missing middle, we can build attached units without sprinklers as long as there's proper firewalls, meaning that the unit can be, one unit can burn and the rest of the units can be self-sustaining is how that kind of works out. So, but that being said, the IRC, the IBC, and the IFC, the International Residential Code, the International Building Code, and the International Fire Code are getting their tri-annual update. They update it every 3 years. With the state as well as local will be happening next year. And so we've had some internal discussions with the building safety department as well as the fire department, trying to see if there's alternatives, options, things that should be considered with this round of code updates. And so we're working internally through that. That process of code updates gets put through city council and committee of the whole. But we'll try to keep it on your radar for when that happens so you can stay in the loop of that process.
Andrea,
Yes.
can I just say when that comes to us or when we get that, can you lay out like the International Building Code? I have no idea if that's law or if that's a suggestion or if that's I make sure that you separate in, what is possible for us to change and what is impossible for us to change. Like one of the comments here, I saw that in italics, can build horizontally only. So you couldn't stack two units. You couldn't have
Correct.
a fourplex with two on the bottom and two on the top.
Correct.
Is that, and so I'd like to know, is that a mandate or is that something that inspections is suggesting? And I don't mean that you have to answer it now. I'm just saying when we get it, make sure that, we have what is a preference of
Sure.
inspections and what is an actual requirement that nobody can get around.
And so I can answer that. The answer
Okay.
is no, you can't do it vertically. Because once we adopt that building code that says you have to build it X way, unless you can provide an alternative solution that essentially says meets the need of the current, right? The reason you can't do vertical is because that unit can't be self-sustaining if one of them goes, right? If the bottom unit burns, like the whole building goes, right? So that's why it's horizontal only. We would have to amend that requirement out of the code when we adopt it locally. And
So we could do that then.
we could do that. It would, the building safety official and the fire chief would have to be in agreement with that, and those are some of the internal discussions going on.
Well, just wait a minute. They would have to be? Do they get a
Well-
vote at the city
well-
council or?
Well, just like a staff proposal, right? The staff
Attaboy.
provides our recommendation as to what we professionally think is in the best interest of the
Right.
city, right? And so, yes, it would be a recommendation
That's what I want to know.
from the
Like,
building
right,
and the fire.
Exactly.
However, this body, Planning and Zoning Commission, will not see the building code and the residential code and the fire code. It will go to city council. We'll keep you updated of dates of when that's happening. But you in particular will not weigh in on that unless you go to city council and go through that input process. Do you want to add to it?
Fourplexes can go on top of each other. It just has to have a sprinkler.
Yes.
I just want to make sure fourplexes can be built up and down with sprinkler. Row houses, as you think about that, with that firewall, built that can withstand, those can't. And it is for safety reasons.
Well, I understand all of this is
yeah.
safety reasons,
Yeah.
but what we're trying to do is find that balance between cost and
Yep.
safety, right? I mean, we've decided we went too far with
Yeah.
requiring sprinklers in these buildings. Now, when I guess since we're not looking at it, I guess it doesn't really matter, but.
Yep, and I think we'll see some row houses potentially in the future is some interest that I've heard, and I think we could have somebody before us soon with some options that will meet that and is good with that. So stay tuned for more on that.
And I shouldn't say, like, planning and zoning staff aren't bringing that code update through planning and zoning commission. However, you guys are always available to relay comments to city council and feedback and participate in that way. So even though it's not a direct, it's still worthwhile to relay if you have concerns about sprinklers. We'll keep you the dates and the times and keep you updated. So.
And are they looking at other, that's obviously the one that sort of brought this to the forefront, but are they looking at other things, talking to the developers, many of which are sitting right here, right now, saying, what is keeping you from building 8-plexes? What is keeping you from building 12-plexes? That's what we're trying to accomplish here. And any input that you guys have would be greatly appreciated to know what the barriers are.
Yep. Part of our internal hope is to kind of coordinate some of that stuff with inspections. I know they try to reach out to the Builders Association and things like that. But this one probably not being more of the standard adoption process and kind of highlighting, maybe taking a deeper dive and look at it. So we'll coordinate that and express the feedback back again to them.
Well, I really appreciate this. I mean, I think it's going to make a big difference. And I know it's a lot of work for you guys, but I think it's good.
Yep. And the only other update I have from the housing standpoint is based on that code audit, we kind of looked and saw that maybe some of our, I guess I would say original neighborhoods, so 1900 vintage, don't necessarily match zoning, right? And that's kind of what we found with the missing middle is our zoning says you can, but you can't. And so internally right now we have our intern Andy back there who is evaluating some of the original neighborhoods and kind of looking what is the average setback of that neighborhood? What defines its character? So that if we go through a process of designing a district, we maintain that character for that neighborhood versus right now where it says you have to follow an R1. Well, that kind of pushes to us like a 60-foot lot. Well, that doesn't meet that character of that neighborhood, right? Those original ones. So we're trying to figure out where we're not driving with some actual evaluation of data. So he's working on that and putting that together for us. We'll have updates on that going forward. So that would be it for the monthly update. The only last thing I have is the 2026 P&Z meeting dates. We're not proposing any adjustments to the schedule. July meeting is usually one we end up pushing back, but that falls on July 1st and 26. Seems like it's doable unless you
I was
guys
going to ask you to push that one back.
Were you? Okay.
Yep, to July 8th.
Do you want a motion for that or no? No? All right.
I just looked
If
at it
everybody's
and go,
good.
everybody's going to be gone that week.
Or are they going to be gone the week before?
Well, kind of the 4th falls on a Saturday. It's tough. You're going to do Friday off.
Push it to the 8th if you guys did month first.
Yes.
Either way, you can.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We do kind of have to post for the year, but so if July 8th
I would vote
works,
to
we'll roll
push,
with that.
I mean, it's a voting committee. I would say the 8th.
Could be through consensus. It's just, we just need to know.
I'm gone.
I'm fine with the 8th.
I'm gone the 1st. I already know that.
The 8th works. I guess that for most people, the holiday.
You'll get
then
the
is
Friday.
Friday.
So you
Okay.
pull your extra
For
day.
people who aren't
We
really
can make that work
close.
and still get it to city council, so we aren't causing disruption with any developments. That's the conversation.
And if it does, we can, whatever. But
Oh, it'll work. We'll push it back to the 8th. We'll get that adjusted and posted for the year. So everybody knows when the meetings will be held. And that's it for me.
all right.
One more thing, when Andrea mentioned intern Andy, I don't know if we've introduced him to
intern
everybody
Andy.
yet, so.
I thought that was like a new doll or something.
Yeah, Andy Folson's back here. He's been putting up with us since probably May of last year. So, and we're hoping to keep him on a little bit longer because he's been doing good work. So, we'll maybe even have him present at some point. So, and I'm not looking, but I'm assuming he's turning a bit red thinking about it. So.
Welcome, intern Andy. Forever known as. All right. With that, can I get a motion? So moved. Meeting adjourned.